Hey, Steelers Nation. We're back with an exclusive video packed with the latest updates on our beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. This way, you'll never miss any exclusive updates or exciting Steelers news. There's a storm brewing in Pittsburgh, and this time it's not about the weather or the steel curtain defense. It's about Aaron Rodgers. Word on the street, and I'm talking about whispers that are starting to sound more like thunder, is that Rodgers is packing his bags at the end of the 2025 season. Yeah, you heard that right. The legendary quarterback, the man with one of the smoothest throwing motions in the league, might be calling it quits with the Steelers. Sources close to the locker room say the vibe has been weird. Not toxic, but definitely not the calm and calculated Rodgers we've known for years. It's like there's a sense of distance between him and the coaching staff, between him and the young guys trying to make a name for themselves. Some say it's about money. Others say it's about legacy. And a few believe Rodgers just wants to write his own ending somewhere else. Maybe under brighter lights. Maybe under warmer skies. Whatever it is, the Steelers fan base is holding its breath, waiting to see if this is just another off-season rumor, or the beginning of the end of an era that never quite became what it was supposed to be. The thing about Aaron Rodgers is that he doesn't just play football. He performs it. Every snap, every throw, every post-game interview feels like a scene in a movie that he's writing as he goes. When he joined Pittsburgh, it felt like destiny had given him one more shot at glory. The black and gold faithful believed, and honestly, so did Rodgers. He looked sharp in that first year, commanding the huddle with that same icy stare and calm swagger that made him a legend in Green Bay. But as the 2025 season unfolded, the cracks started to show. Not in his arm, that's still world-class, but in his connection with the team. You can't fake chemistry, and it's clear the Steelers' offense has struggled to find rhythm. The young receivers seem hesitant, the offensive line unsure whether to protect or watch in awe. Behind the scenes, the coaching staff reportedly started planning for a future without him, even as Rodgers continued to drop cryptic comments about next chapters and unfinished stories. It's classic Rodgers, mysterious, philosophical, and just ambiguous enough to keep everyone guessing. Now, here's where it gets spicy, because if Rodgers really is leaving, it's not going to be a quiet exit. This isn't some backup QB fading into the shadows. This is Aaron Charles Rodgers, the guy who built his brand on being unpredictable, outspoken, and maybe even a little bit controversial. The whispers suggest that his relationship with head coach Mike Tomlin has cooled off. There's mutual respect, sure, but word is they've had their share of creative differences about offensive philosophy. Rodgers wants more freedom, more control at the line of scrimmage, while Tomlin is all about structure and discipline. The locker room reportedly split into two camps. Those who swear Rodgers is still the guy to follow, and others who think it's time to rebuild around a younger arm. Add to that some rumored disagreements about how the franchise is handling player development, and you've got a recipe for a headline-grabbing departure. The Steelers might try to play it cool publicly, but internally, this has the feeling of a ticking clock counting down to a breakup that's already been emotionally decided. Fans can feel it too. Go online, and you'll see the message boards lighting up with debates, theories, and a lot of frustration. Steelers Nation expected rings, not rumors. They thought Rodgers was the final piece, the veteran presence who could elevate a talented but inconsistent roster. Instead, it's been a roller coaster. Flashes of brilliance followed by frustrating losses, late-game interceptions, and awkward press conferences where Rodgers dodged questions with that familiar smirk. The fan base is divided. Some defend him fiercely, saying he's doing the best he can with limited weapons. Others call him a distraction, arguing that the team needs to move on before the situation turns toxic. It's emotional, it's messy, and it's very, very Pittsburgh right now. Everyone's trying to figure out who's to blame. But maybe the truth is simpler. Sometimes even legends can't outrun time, ego, or the natural end of a football story. Behind closed doors, though, it sounds like Rodgers already knows his next move. He's been seen talking with people outside the Steelers facility, old teammates, former coaches, maybe even a few executives from other franchises who'd love to bring his star power into their locker room. Could he be eyeing a reunion, With someone familiar? Could he be looking west again, toward a team with a system more tailored to his style? One insider even hinted that Rodgers has been quietly exploring media opportunities, broadcasting, production, maybe even something totally unexpected. The guy's a thinker, and you just know he's got a plan brewing. The Steelers, for their part, have been unusually quiet, refusing to comment beyond the usual. We're focused on the season. But make no mistake, the tension is real, and it's not going away. Rodgers might still be wearing black and gold right now, but his mind seems to be somewhere else entirely, already picturing his next act. If this really is the final season of the Rodgers Steelers experiment, it's going to be fascinating to see how it ends. Will he ride off into the sunset with one last playoff run, silencing the doubters the way he's done so many times before? Or will this chapter close in frustration, with more questions than answers? The NFL has seen its fair share of shocking departures, but this one feels different. Rodgers is too big, too polarizing, too iconic to just slip away quietly. The league will be watching, the fans will be watching, and honestly, the man himself probably loves that. He's always thrived on the edge of controversy, and maybe that's the point. Maybe for Aaron Rodgers, the journey was never about comfort or stability. It was about control, legacy, and the endless chase for the perfect ending. Whether Pittsburgh gives him that ending remains to be seen. But one thing's for sure, when the curtain finally falls, nobody's going to forget how this story went down. If Rodgers walks away from Pittsburgh after 2025, the question isn't just where he'll go, it's why. Because if you listen closely, people close to him say it's not about the money or the fame anymore. It's about peace. Rodgers has been talking more about mindfulness, balance, and even spirituality. He's mentioned how exhausting the constant spotlight has become, how the grind of the NFL can drain a person's soul. Maybe that's why he's been seen spending time away from the city, out in nature, taking those infamous darkness retreats that made headlines before. There's a growing sense that he wants something different now, something beyond football. But then again, this is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about, the master of misdirection. He's always 10 steps ahead of everyone else, and just when you think he's done, he drops a bombshell comeback. So yeah, while some insiders say he's mentally checked out, others claim he's gearing up for one last shot. One last moment to prove that the old gunslinger still has a little magic left in his arm. There's another layer to this too, the Steelers organization itself. Let's be real, Pittsburgh isn't exactly known for handling superstar exits gracefully. The city loves its icons, but when a vibe turns sour, it gets cold fast. Just look at how things ended with some of their past legends. The same loyalty that lifts you up can turn into pressure that crushes you when the winds stop coming. Rodgers felt that shift. Early on, he was the hero, the chosen one. Now, every missed throw is dissected like it's a crime scene. Every facial expression becomes a meme. He's been around long enough to know how these stories end, and maybe he's choosing to write his own version before it's written for him. The Steelers, meanwhile, are quietly scouting new quarterbacks. Not saying it out loud, but it's happening. The future is calling, and it's hard to ignore when your star quarterback seems halfway out the door already. But let's not kid ourselves. If Rodgers hits the open market, teams will line up. The demand for a veteran quarterback with his skill, even at this stage, is insane. The Jets, Raiders, even the 49ers could come knocking. Imagine Rodgers under the California sun again, surrounded by offensive weapons and a system built around his rhythm. It's a tantalizing thought. Some executives around the league believe Rodgers still has 2 elite years left in him. If, and only if, he's happy and motivated. The Steelers, however, might be tired of waiting for that version to show up consistently. They took a gamble, they sold the dream, and maybe now they're realizing that fairy tales are hard to come by in the NFL. The front office knows the PR nightmare that comes with letting a name like Rodgers walk, but they also know that holding on to a restless star can be just as destructive. It's a lose-lose, unless both sides find a way to make this breakup look like destiny. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. What's fascinating is how this story mirrors Rodgers' entire career. Always brilliant, always complicated, always just a little bit misunderstood. He's never fit neatly into the mold. Not in Green Bay, not in New York during that short stint, and not in Pittsburgh now. He's a thinker playing a gladiator's game. The league wants him to be predictable, but he never is. Maybe that's why people are drawn to him, even when he's frustrating. There's an authenticity in his chaos. The Steelers tried to contain that, tried to channel it into their system, but Rodgers isn't a system quarterback. He's an improviser, storyteller, a guy who thrives on instinct. That's what makes this breakup inevitable. You can't cage creativity, and eventually, it breaks free. Whether that means retirement, a new team, or a new career altogether, Rodgers will decide that. Not the Steelers, not the media, and definitely not the fans. In the meantime, the locker room's mood is uneasy. You can almost feel the tension in the air after games, the sidelong glances, the forced smiles. Some players are already talking like they're in a rebuild. Others cling to hope, trying to keep things professional, but everyone knows something's coming. Rodgers has been distant, polite, professional, but detached. He still leads team meetings, still shows flashes of brilliance in practice, but that fire, that defiant spark that used to light up the field, feels dimmer. Maybe it's age, maybe it's exhaustion, or maybe it's just time. The end doesn't always come with a bang. Sometimes it's a slow fade that everyone sees, but nobody wants to admit. And in that silence, in those long post-game moments where he sits on the bench alone, staring at the scoreboard, you can almost see the realization settling in. The awareness that every legend faces eventually. That no matter how great you are, the game always moves on. Still, if there's one thing we've learned from Aaron Rodgers, it's never to count him out. The man thrives on doubt. He feeds off of skepticism like fuel. So who knows? Maybe all these rumors are exactly what he wants. Noise to drown out while he prepares one last masterpiece. Imagine this. Final season, playoff run, against all odds. Rodgers leading a comeback for the ages, proving that the old magician still has one last trick. It would be poetic, it would be dramatic, and it would be so perfectly Aaron Rodgers. Whether that happens or not, one thing's clear. Whatever comes next, it won't be ordinary. Rodgers doesn't do ordinary. And as the final games of 2025 approach, one question hangs over the entire NFL. Is this the end, or just another reinvention of one of the most fascinating players the game has ever seen? Whatever it is, it's going to be one hell of a story. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Pittsburgh Steelers, make sure to subscribe to Steelers Nation Central and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.